What's up, Digital Business Evolution? Welcome back to the show. I have a huge smile on my face right now because I am on a special Zoom call with not one, not two, but three incredible guests. I'm so excited for today's episode. It is actually our 100th episode of DBE's podcast. I'm the only one cheering. Come on.
Woo!
There we go. So we thought it'd be really fun for this episode to actually bring our executive team on and hear from them. So we're going to be doing a little round robin style of our executive team here at DBE. You're going to get to learn from them, hear from them, and really see who is behind the backbone of this incredible business that we've built, because I certainly have not built it alone. So we're going to start with a quick little intro. I'm going to go around from who has been at the company the longest. That way it'll just make the most sense. So first up, we have our integrator. Integrator is a term that's thrown around a lot in the coaching industry. I would say the equivalent to what that is really like a COO. So Lauren is our integrator. She did not start as an integrator or a full-time employee. Gosh, over 3 years ago in New York City. She started as an executive personal assistant to moi. So Lauren, say hi.
Hey guys.
Tell everybody a little bit of your backstory, just where you came from, how you got started at DBE, and sort of what the transition and evolution has looked like over the years.
Yeah, so funny enough, I was, perusing the old gram as we all do, and I saw a story from a gal named Jess Glazer, and she was doing her walk and talks in New York City, and she was saying, hey, you know what? I'm looking for an executive assistant 10 to 15 hours a week. And I saw that story and I was like, I think I could do that. So the next day I quickly applied, and I won't bore you with the details, but after about 3 interviews, I had my last one with Jess and I got the job. But I think a cool part of this story is that on that interview with Jess, she asked me a really cool question. And she asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And what was funny is I knew she was going to ask me that somehow. And my answer to her was, if I get this job, that will change the trajectory of my life. And lo and behold, it really has. So here we are. Gosh, as Jess said, over 3 years ago, I started, but it's been a little over 2 years since I've been officially in the role of integrator. And the way that evolved is just, I kept taking on more and more tasks in the business. I started doing a lot of things.
Let's backtrack for 1 second, just so everyone's clear. No, the tasks that you used to do, I think it's really important. The tasks that I had you doing, something that was written on the job description. I remember writing it. I said, no task is above you and no task is beneath you. And you took that and ran with it. And at the time we didn't have a dog, but if we did, you would have said yes to picking up dog poop. Like, the tasks that you were doing were, a lot of them weren't inside the business. They were very much personal assistant tasks. You were returning stuff at Forever 21. You were going to the post office. You were helping mail out client workbooks. And you really were just taking on anything I would throw at you. I don't even know if you remember some of them, but if you do, what was one of the most bizarre tasks that I had you do?
I mean, full transparency, all the tasks, I was just kind of confused because I was like, what is this world? Like welcomes in a Facebook group and just, like all the technology. Like it was just such a new world for me because my background was hospitality. So I was so used to being in person and dealing with people in front of me and not on a computer. So I always joke too, like in my first corporate job, it's like, I didn't know what a computer was, and Jess and I used to go to her apartment and work with her, and I would like not say one word to her. I'd be so nervous. Meanwhile, I was writing birthday cards and doing these very simple tasks. So it is pretty cool, the evolution of how I did start to take more on, because I was so, even Amanda remembers, I wouldn't say anything on meetings. I'd be so quiet, so timid, afraid to say anything. But I'm trying to rack my brain.
Yeah. Now you run the meetings.
Yeah, now I run the meetings and set the agendas. I'm trying to think though, if there's like any like tasks specifically that was just, I mean, maybe the birthday cards, but that's kind of just like a really nice touch that you did.
I remember having you help me plan a retreat. This was back at the beginning of 2020. And you had picked a bunch of Airbnbs and sent them over to me, and I didn't like any of them. And you were like, okay, you have to teach me what you like. Like, what type of kitchen are you looking for? And what colors do you like in the house? Because I was just like, no, I don't like this one. I don't like this one either.
Oh yeah, that's the funny part. It's like learning what you liked and who you were and your voice and all of that. Yeah.
Something that I saw in you at a really early stage, though, was number one, the hunger to want to grow into something. Number two, the tenaciousness. Is that a word? Like just the go-getter in you to take things off my plate that I wasn't asking you to take off my plate. And the third thing would be you were thinking a different way than I think. And so it's really important when you're listening, we've talked about it before, but the difference between a visionary and the integrator, right? Every visionary needs an integrator, every integrator needs a visionary. A lot of times coaches, service providers, course content creators, and a lot of founders are visionaries. We have all these ideas and we just want to start projects. We don't really care about ending the project. And something that you brought to the table very quickly, I mean, the first 3 weeks we were working together, you said, well, what is your process for flying? Because we were booking this retreat. I said, what do you mean? What is my process for flying? And you were like, well, what, where do you normally, what's the airline you normally book with? And I'm like, whatever's cheapest. And then you said, well, what seat do you normally sit in? I was like, whatever's available. And you pushed back. You said, no, there's probably a seat that you always sit in. Think about it. And I was like, well, oh, I do. I always sit in the aisle. And then you said right side or left side. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I am a righty and I like to work on my laptop. So I prefer to sit on the left side of the plane so that my right elbow is in the aisle. And you said, well, that's your process. And so really quickly, I was like, wow, this girl just looks at things differently. And I didn't know what it would turn into one day, but it all makes sense, right? Steve Jobs can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can looking back. And I look back and I'm like, oh, duh, you love organization and stuff like that, processes.
Yeah, the funny part with that is that, like I said, I had a hospitality background and I did operations. So it's funny that operations within a restaurant can actually transfer over into a digital business. Now, learning how digital business is run is a little bit different, but devil in the details is what it's all about.
I love it. Well, it's incredible to see what you're doing today. So, now you're not necessarily returning things at Forever 21 or Forever 39, as I like to call it. Now you're project managing, you're helping with the team, you're helping us back into projects, you're running all of the Monday boards. We use monday.com and making sure that everything is, in its order there. You're also the head of customer success, which is an entire department unto itself. And you have people that work with you and for you, which is really cool. So you're managing those people as well.
I am. And just to give a little background, a little more into what the integrator does, just for those of you that aren't aware, I do all of the project management. So right now we're planning out Q2 essentially to Q4. And I will start backwards and get us set up for every single month so that we can start running currently into all of the projects we have ahead, which is one of my favorite things that I get to do. And then for head of customer success, we just launched Empower, if you saw that, and we just onboarded 50 plus clients. And what does that look like? They get into Facebook groups, they have to get workbooks mailed to them, they have welcomes, and there's this whole process. And you wouldn't believe how much goes into both, but that's just a very small tidbit of what I do here at DBE.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting too, when we talk about the org chart, I've done a podcast episode on it, and I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I am going to find it for you. But when we talk about the org chart and the visionary sort of sits at the top, Lauren would be basically right underneath me. And then underneath that, we have 3 different departments. And so you have your hands in a lot of the departments. On the left side, it's the growth department. So think of that as anything before the sale, which when we get to Mike, he's head of growth. In the middle, we have a lot of the operations, which is going to be like the financial and the legal and HR type stuff, also something that Mike controls. And then on the right side, we have the head of customer success, and that would really be anything after the sale. Something that's really cool is that, Amanda, your role sits in a lot of those areas as well. And we always want to make sure we don't have 2 people sitting in one seat, right? But we can have one person sitting in multiple seats. And so that's something that you do, is you sit in multiple seats. So you came around also in 2020. We're coming up on your 3-year anniversary. But when you came into the business at first, Amanda, you came in because we thought you were going to be the integrator. We thought you were going to come in and sort of be like a business manager, or people call them OBMs. And we very quickly found out that your, I think, passion and expertise and skill set is actually in a couple different areas, and definitely your interest was in different areas. And so we really leaned into that. So where'd you come from? How'd we get connected?
So I started off as a VA and I quit my corporate job back in 2015. So I've been working online for quite a while. But that's kind of how I came into being a VA and working online. And then I got kind of into the coaching industry for my first client, who I found on a Facebook post in a Facebook group, who happened to be Amanda Bucci. And then you were in her mastermind, and that's how we met. That's how we got connected at one of her mastermind events. So that's kind of how we just knew each other. And then you were looking for help at that time, and she connected us. And you basically hired me to be more OBM, like business management type stuff, and to work with you and Lauren. And then kind of as time went on, I realized that Lauren was definitely very interested in the project management side of things, and she seemed to like really thrive in that. And also at the same time, I was taking the initiative on doing a lot of the technical stuff to set the business up on the back end, because no one was doing that, and it was definitely
What do you
needed.
mean? I didn't have that set up by myself
Little
when I was
messy.
a solopreneur. It was
Yeah, you
so
have been
messy.
doing it alone for so long that that was really, someone really needed to step in and do that. And I just really got to take that on and grow that side of the business and just set us up for those things, and also work on a lot of our design stuff and branding stuff, which I really enjoy too. So I think my role just kind of defined itself over time, and I got to really just own that domain and take it from there.
Yeah, my favorite thing that you do still till this day is when you randomly will Slack us and let us know about like a new platform. Hey guys, I want to try this out, or I think this would really work well, or this connects to that and I want to try it. Would you be open to it?
Yeah, give me the credit card number, Mike.
Yeah.
That's like my
This is how
favorite
much it
thing.
costs.
Yeah, this is how much it costs. It's my favorite thing because that is definitely not my zone of genius or where I would prefer to spend my time. And like you said, the business was a little bit messy on the back end when you came in, but it was really like a natural progression. Like you said, you jumped in and we started to recognize you're not only really good at the technology and incredible at design, and you get my vibe and my feel, like you're so good with design, but you also enjoy the tech side and you enjoy learning new platforms and you enjoy connecting things on the back end. So when we talk about you sitting in multiple seats, you're in the growth department because you're helping with things like landing pages and opt-in pages and emails that are going out and anything sales related and checkout related. You're also in some of the operations when we're talking automations, and then you're definitely in the customer success side of things when you're making sure that everyone has their products and there's email sequences and text messages and like anything that needs to happen, really tech and design related. So I'm not sure exactly what the role title would be. I don't know that we ever nailed that down, but you have your hands in a lot of different areas, and it's just been so cool to see you grow. And I'd love to hear from you and your perspective. How much has changed over the last 3 years when I used to run the team meetings and it was just the 3 gals compared to now when Lauren's running it and we've got so many other people?
Oh my gosh, I think we have so much more structure now, and just our roles are so clearly defined, and we really each know like what we're all responsible for, what we're doing. We all are in our zone of genius. And I think originally we were all kind of trying to do a little bit of everything, and it was working at the time, but as we started to grow, we realized it was just really inefficient. So now Lauren runs our meetings. We have a lot of structure. We have a lot of communication. We have everyone just knows what they're doing, what their roles are, what their responsibilities are. And it's just become much more of a machine than it was before.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's always been the goal. So I'm super grateful for you two women that are extremely powerful. You're extremely hardworking and driven and dedicated. And you were very, very, very open to welcoming the first guy on the team. And so in the fall of 2020, is that correct? The fall of 2020. Wow. So it was like the winter and then the summer and then the fall of 2020. What a big year for us. We ended up bringing Mike into the team. And so for those of you who don't know, Mike is the guy that does the mic drop episodes with me. He happens to be my husband, and he is the head of the growth department and also the head of a lot of the operations in sort of that middle department. He also sits in an interesting seat because Mike is also a visionary like I am. And this has been interesting to figure out. So he comes to the table with a lot of ideas as well. And of course, since we're married, we tend to spend a lot of time together. And so sometimes those ideas will happen sort of out of office, right? We'll just be sitting on the couch having coffee on a Saturday morning, or we're out at night on a Tuesday, and
Woman's favorite.
ideas will come up,
I was
right?
just going to say an integrator's dream.
Because what we mean is that sometimes we'll decide that we want to make a change, or we're going to like go completely left when we were all talking about going right. And so then we come back to work on Monday and it's like, oh, surprise, Mike and I changed everything over the weekend.
But we've learned.
You made this whole thing, but now we're going in another direction.
Yep, we've learned. So Mike, obviously
We've learned how to communicate it. We still go left when we say we're going right. But anyway.
It's been incredible having Mike on the team, obviously for me as his wife, but it's also been a huge, I'm sure, I know because I've been a part of the process, it's been a huge learning curve for us in our relationship, in our working relationship. in our romantic relationship. It's just a lot, right? Learning how to communicate with each other. And it's crazy to think that we're coming up on 3 years now that you have been out of corporate and in this cute little side hustle business that I started so many years ago. So why don't you tell the people?
Yeah, I mean,
How'd you get involved?
well, the good thing is that we really eased into it, and this is obviously complete sarcasm here. I left my banking job after 11 years, a job that I loved. We moved out of New York City. We bought an RV, and we were working together in about 150 square feet. So yeah, we just eased. No, it was. I got thrown to the wolves, these female wolves. No, they were really welcoming. It was a big 2020 was a big year for everyone on this team. And I can speak about my situation specifically. I left my job after 11 years, as I mentioned. And I had this idea of what I was walking into with this company because obviously being married to Jess, I was aware of some of the things that were taking place, but I had no idea about how much she had really built out behind the scenes. I just was privy to seeing some of the forward-facing coaching, sometimes the crying over Kajabi, landing pages, plug, sometimes the the sales calls. I would hear those type of things. So I had an idea of what was going on, and I knew what Empower did for people, right? But I had no idea about the back end. I knew Lauren's name. I had never met her. I knew Amanda's name. I had never met her either. So it was a huge, huge change for me. And really from, I don't know, I mean, I'm going to say the first like 8 months from when I left my corporate job, I was just drinking from a fire hose. And I remember being on meetings, like just sitting there with this team here and feeling like I had absolutely nothing to say and nothing to add. And looking back, I'm certainly grateful that you all were just so open and kind about it. And I remember there was a few specific times where I reached out to Lauren and Amanda. You might not even be aware of it, Jess. And I was just like, guys, I'm sorry. I had no idea what was going on in that meeting. And both of them were just like, Mike, you were great. It was fine. And meanwhile, it was probably a complete shit show. But yeah, so it's been awesome. I don't quite feel like it's a fire hose anymore. No, it hasn't been like that for a little while.
And for the record, just to edify you publicly and totally like embarrass you and talk about how wonderful you are. Not only was it a fire hose of information on just like the industry, you switched every platform because we use Google, we use like G Suite or whatever it's called now, Workspace. And so we're using Slack and Facebook, and we're using Google Calendar and Google Drive. And you came from like Zoom. And Zoom, and you came from what, like Skype and Microsoft, and
it was like WebEx, and Microsoft or Outlook called, and all the I mean,
so like there was that learning curve.
Well, you can learn those things, right?
Absolutely, but it was all happening at the same time. So you're learning all of those things, and the lingo, and the team, and the clients, and
I also was driving a 40-foot RV.
You were not at the same time.
Yeah. The cool thing was, we talked a lot about how it's interesting because it happened to all three of us. When I say three of us, I mean me, Lauren, and Amanda, where it was like, we thought we were going to do this. We ended up doing something totally different.
Well, that's right.
Right. So the same thing happened with me where, I think very quickly we realized, through self-discovery, Amanda was realizing, hey, I really like doing this type of stuff. And I think with me leaving my corporate job, I was managing a territory, and I was responsible for sales, operations, and client experience. So there was a lot of things translate over directly to what we're doing, right? But I wasn't going to do all of them. So we just assumed that the thing that makes the most sense is what we call integrator, and handling those type of things, because I was already handling the financials, the legal, things like that. So it was just like, all right, well, yeah, that's operations. So he's just going to plan and schedule. I cannot tell you how much I detest those things. And it's interesting. I discovered through this role with this company, why and how much I didn't like it at the bank as well. And I knew I didn't like operations at the bank, but coming into this role, I realized, wow, it's not that I just don't like it. It's not my personality. Right. I'm a visionary. Yeah. Right. So that was really cool to discover. Now there are some things that aren't visionary esque that I enjoy. I do enjoy the financials. I do enjoy reading the legal documents. I do enjoy, reading over things like that. But as far as the planning stuff, it's like, Lauren, have at it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so funny though that both you and Amanda initially thinking when you came on, like, okay, take on the integrator role. I need an OBM. There's got to be a COO. And the irony is, Lauren, that actually wasn't the plan for you necessarily at the beginning. And then I've come to find out you're, pleasure reading Scrum and Rocket Fuel and all these Radical Candor and all these books. And I'm like, wait, you like that stuff? That's so interesting. Like, what if cool, take on more of this, take on more of that. So, there you have it. There's the team.
Yeah.
There's the team. Cool. All right, let's get into some juicy stuff. So we like to play a game called Rose, Bud, Thorn, and this is the way that it works. So rose is things that are going well, things that you're really proud of, things that you want to celebrate. It's a rose. It's beautiful, right? Bud is something that's blooming. It's something that you're excited about. It's new and it's emerging and upcoming. Whether we're actually doing it yet or not, that's okay. And then thorn would be like a thorn, a sticky part, a challenge, something that maybe hasn't gone that well. I'd love to go around and just kind of round robin some rosebud thorns through the context of not just the years that you've all been in the company, but because we're celebrating the 100th episode at the 1 year mark of having this podcast. Let's go from basically podcast to podcast. It's been 1 year of the podcast. We've done 100 episodes. In the last year, what have been some of your roses? And we'll all go with roses first. And we can go backwards this time. So Mike, what's a rose been for you?
Oh, Lauren, you're off the hook going first.
I know. I was like,
the rosebud thorn is a funny thing because it's like, and I know the whole team will agree, which is awesome. All the thorns have turned into roses for us, but man, some of them were really pointy. So there's a lot of roses, but I would say, my favorite overall has been watching over the last year the progress and consistency that we have put in. So we've been consistent with the process. We stuck to it when it was very challenging, and I mean the launch. And the growth that we've seen in this last launch was just such a massive success on so many levels. We don't need to go deep into metrics, obviously, on this podcast, but it's not just about how many people decided to join us. That is awesome and incredible. But there's just so many other things, right? It felt good. It was busy, but felt easy. And that for me was just like the biggest rose, because there's nothing like putting in 12 months or more, right? A long period of time. I know 12 months isn't a long period of time, but in our world, it can be, because we can see end to end really fast with execution. I would say just being super, super proud of everyone and how everyone played such a critical role in what we accomplished over the llast year. It's just been really exciting.
Yeah. And
personally, I would say the rose has been just seeing challenging myself with the help of the team, but with the affiliate program and what the possibilities, which I will get into when we move on to the next portion of this, but the possibilities of what affiliates can do for themselves, for their people, and for us. Yeah. It's just really exciting. Yeah. And I built that.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Amanda, what's a rose?
I think a rose for our team as a whole was, or I would say is, I think we became a lot more adventurous as a team. I think a year ago we were still very, I don't want to say rigid, but this has to happen at this time. And if we don't do this at this time, we're stressed and we're, concerned, and, everything had to be a certain very specific way. And I think in the past year as a team, we've relaxed a little bit and been really open to trying new things and testing new things out without so much expectation, or just being able to let go of the expectation of if it doesn't work out, or, if we don't reach our goal, what's going to happen. And I think that made the business feel really fun over the past year. And it led to kind of some surprises of things that were successful that we didn't know were going to be successful until we tried it. So I think that was really cool. And for me personally, I would say my rose is getting to create templates and things to share for our clients, because I never really get to be in a teaching role at all, or I've never gotten to really do that before. So being able to create templates in Kajabi and Canva templates, and do some tech support for our students in Empower was really cool. I never really got to do that before, so that felt really exciting for me.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite modules because you teach it so well and I don't have to teach it.
Yeah, it was just such a new experience and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would agree on all of the above. And Lauren, a rose.
So kind of piggybacking off of what Amanda said, I also agree that this past year we've really learned how to like lead with curiosity, and instead of like, oh, this is wrong, or oh, this is right, because as we know, there really is no right or wrong. You get to choose. And also along with that, we've all just matured so much. A year ago, I'm like, wow, I feel like I was such a baby. And now I feel I have so much more information. And as a team, like we have so much more information. And because of that year together and all the growth, like we were able to really learn how to work with one another and where our strengths lie and where our weaknesses lie. And instead of, and it's not like this, but it can be sometimes where it's like, you could be competing with people in business, but we've all learned how to really like support one another as a team. And I really, as we know, I love team culture and all of that. So it's been really nice to be able to lean on one another and have the support of one another as a whole. And then personally, there's two. One is we brought some team culture events in, which has been really fun. And Justin, Mike, both as my bosses, being super open to that was really awesome because I come from a corporate background as well. And in corporate, it was like, oh yeah, we'll get cupcakes for birthdays and call it a day. And so they're much more open than just that. And we do super fun Zoom happy hours. I mean, we've been on helicopters together. Like we've just done it all. But the other thing I want to say, which I think could be powerful for someone listening, is that a lot of who I was in the past year, I leaned a lot into fear. So I was always afraid of the mistake I was going to make or someone being mad at me or disappointing someone. And prior to this launch, I really had to ask myself like who I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up. And I leaned into what that means. And when you ask yourself who you want to be and how you want to show up, you get to lean into the positive aspects of that. So if I say to myself, oh, I don't want to make a mistake, but I empower myself and say, it's not that I don't want to make a mistake, but rather I want the client experience to be amazing, then the mistake leaves and that's what you're giving. And so that's what I really leaned into a lot in the past few months that have really helped catapult my growth and have a rose.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that. It's all like where the focus goes, energy flows, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Can I share something? The first thing that you shared about the cupcakes for birthdays, I saw a funny meme this week, and I don't know if it was Morning Brew or what, but someone shared this meme where it was like, oh, you mean your people aren't happy because you think you can call them family and have a pizza party once a week or something? And I was like, oh, yeah.
It's so true.
Brought donuts into the office.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give a couple roses as well, if that's okay. So they're kind of all just team roses. I think for sure the restructuring of our org chart, which we've done many times, right? As we kicked the call off or the podcast off, it was, you were a personal assistant and you came in to do this one thing. And so we have taken on different roles and they've evolved, hence the name of the company. We're always evolving and growing. But we did do a formal restructuring of the org chart back in the fall. And that has made such a difference. And I'm so proud of all of us for being open to it. And for seeing that, yeah, we kind of were stepping on each other's toes a little, or there were moments where it was like, we all had our hands up, like, I don't know who's supposed to catch it, where it was just like, what are we supposed to do? So I'm really, really proud of that restructuring, the flexibility and adaptability that everybody has. Certainly the launch that we did back in the fall when we went through our personal ectopic pregnancy and I was out of work for 8 weeks, just seeing how the three of you stepped in and really took the business and ran. It wasn't even that we were in survival mode. You managed to make us thrive at a really difficult time, which was really incredible and something I'm so, so proud of. And it was not the way that I wanted to see it, but it was the first time that I saw like, wow, we did build the machine, the thing that we're always talking about and the structure that creates the freedom. And it's like, it happened and it's here. And so it was a tough way to learn it, but seeing that was really special. And I had a third thing and now I forgot. So it's okay. We can move on. I don't want to make this like sterile and boring. So as we just go through the next one, let's go like quick bud, quick thorn, give them to me both at the same time. And then let's get into some of our most fun and special memories, because I know we've had a lot of them. So I'm going to throw it over to Amanda. If you can give us a bud, something that's exciting and blooming. It doesn't have to be even fully business related. And then a thorn, something that is a bit more challenging. And maybe it's been a thorn for a while.
I think the bud would be, I know that I'm excited to create more things, and kind of give more resources to kinds that we already have, and just like build up those things that once someone is kind of already on their journey with us, things that they can have to just continue to support them.
Love that.
Like I said earlier with the templates and things like that, I think we found that people found those really useful. And we want to just be able to continue to support them. So I'm excited to hopefully create more things and add to that and expand on that. And then the thorn is hard. I was going to say communication, but we've gotten so much better at that. But I think in the past, I would say that was kind of what our thorn was, because, you know, we have different personality types on the team, and some people are wavy and some people are pointy. And I don't know if I should go into what all that means, but I guess type A, type B would be like a general explanation. But I know in the past that was kind of our a struggle on our team, but we're always working on it, and it's improved so much, especially with our reorg, like we were just talking about. And, you know, I think it's just going to continue to get better.
Yeah, I love it. Babe, got some buds and thorns?
Oh, I thought you were talking to Lauren. Yeah, so I'll start with the thorn. So it's interesting because like my rose was affiliate, right? But the thorn over the last year was had a very, very challenging situation with one of our affiliates, and we overcame it, and we handled it the best we could. But this thorn certainly turned into a rose. But just a quick backstory on it, because this is a good lesson. We brought in a very high level affiliate, but it was our first time operating the affiliate program the way we operate it now. And as you most likely know, if anytime you're doing something new, whether it's riding a bike for the first time or building out an affiliate program for a multi-six-figure launch, things are going to happen. And sometimes the things that happen can be very thorny. And we probably should have eased into and not shot our shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean by
Oh
that.
yeah, totally.
Shot our shot.
Went for like the big gun.
Yeah, but you know, it was ignorance. We should have waited until the program was a little more polished. Not totally polished, right? Because things can always be improved, but that was the big lesson there. But it definitely bloomed into a rose, because it really forced us into a situation where it caused us to enhance this particular part of the business. And most recently in our last launch, we had an affiliate do incredibly well with sales, bigger dollar amounts than most people have launches. So it definitely budded into a beautiful rose, even though thorns can't do that. But we do whatever we want. This is what you do.
We're the roses. We do what we want.
Okay, and then bud. So we've decided to make some big changes in terms of our launch structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go into specifics on here. I don't think, right? Or can I? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So, but I'm most excited to see what we're able to create with the space that we've now given to the entire company. We have space to be able to make, a particular launch even bigger, even better, and we're going to be able to serve more people in a better way. So I'm really excited to see what that bud turns into.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Very excited. It's funny too, because we quickly filled the space already. We opened all the space up, and then it was like, oh, we're full. It's amazing what you'll do. We're like sharks. We'll just grow to the size of the tank that we're in, right?
But I am proud of us because we've said no to some things that I think we normally would have said yes to. And in the conversation, it was, wait, this space is there. We feel uncomfortable because the space is there.
Yes.
We don't need to fill the space.
Yes.
And it's more on the personal side, and we haven't even
For the
told
record,
Lauren.
That was this weekend. We had a conversation.
We almost bought another house.
We almost filled the space. It was a reno project. It wasn't just buying another.
Yeah, it was going to be
full gut. because we just like to be busy. And then we talked about spending the summer on the East Coast again. So,
But we're
We're
not
not.
doing either of those
This
things.
is what they do, guys. This is what they do.
Staying in sunny Arizona. And for the record,
It's
May,
gorgeous.
it's May 3rd. The weather has been absolutely incredible.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, this morning walking the dog, 68 and sunny.
68.
Okay, let's get
Yeah.
back to the game.
All right, Lauren.
If you like humidity, you're insane anyway, but go ahead.
Well,
As we suffer down here in Florida.
Yeah, you too in the humid. You're crazy.
So my bud is honestly, it's long term, but it is truly in building all of the things within the company. I came back from an event end of March, and I said to Jess, I mapped out our $1 million team, and she's like, does the team cost $1 million? I said, yeah, it does. Which that can tell you what we want to do in revenue. But, you know, dream big, right? That's the whole game. But within the building, it's building the team, building the structure, creating you know, so much for our clients. And we truly want to be the #1 space for digital education. And so, you know, that just really gets me so excited to help so many people as we do, because as you know, Empower is so freaking life-changing along with our mastermind. But that's where a lot of people start with us, and it's given me the vision to have that. And then what was the other one? Thorn. Thorn is for me, oh gosh, I mean, there's so many, right? But no, there really have been so many. I mean, I call 2021 the year of my triggers, because the amount of times I cried, like on the side, like no one knows about, or I'm like, I'm not cut out for this. Like,
For
I
the
need
record,
to
we are not,
quit.
I am not a mean boss. I am not
What's
making
not
up
at all.
cry.
Coming up for you, Jess.
Growing
Sounds awful.
pains.
Sounds
Growing
awful.
No. They're wonderful. This has nothing to do with them. And again, if you're listening, this is something to take a look at yourself. If you are being triggered in your job, and listen, I understand, I've had truly bad bosses in my life. These are not what they look like. And I had to learn how to communicate and how to not take things personally. And that, you know, when an idea or something happens, like, it's not about me, like the business is about the client. And so it was, you know, separating myself from whatever it was. And they put me in a mastermind, my own. It was called Indispensable Leadership. And within that, I learned a ton about leadership and communication. And what's funny is when you start learning about those items, it's kind of like you're dusting them off with inside of you. And then that's when like the triggers are able to come up, because they've been put away, and then it comes up and you have to like clean it off. But now that thorn, as Mike said, is now a rose, because that's what we do around here. We turn thorns into roses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually was my third thing that I wanted to say before, as a rose. So thank you for reminding me. It was putting you into your own mastermind.
Oh,
And
yeah, it was awesome.
we bought programs and courses for both of you before, and had you, whether it's a copywriting program or something like that, but to put you in a year-long mastermind for integrators was really powerful, and I think a great call on our part, and yours, and your interest and desire to want to be there, I think was just incredible for the growth of yourself and the team and how we all communicate. My quick little thorn and my quick little bud. So thorn for me is the same one that has been for many, many years, and we've gotten so much, I've gotten so much better at it. It first started with not having ease of letting go of control, which is really common for founders and visionaries and coaches, right? And so the very last part of that, giving up the control, has always been my calendar, which I finally did give up control about a year ago, and I sort of passed it off, and everyone else has access to the calendar now. But I do still struggle, and this is definitely still a me thing, whether it's with boundaries or people pleasing or just saying yes to opportunities. I do still struggle with my calendar, and just the sheer amount of like calls and meetings, and good problem to have, podcasts and stuff. So for me, it's still just the calendar and feeling like there's just never enough time. But I think that's also just what it is when you own your own business, right? There's never not work to be done, or things that you want to work on because you enjoy it and it's fun. For me, the bud, with what you said before, Mike, kind of opening up space, we decided just a couple of weeks ago to create this new space in the business for the rest of the year. And with that came obviously ideas started flooding in, and sort of desires to do new things, not just the personal life stuff, but in the business. And so I'm going to say it straight. We've decided that we're going to be opening up one of our 6-month mentorship programs again that has been closed for a while. And I am so freaking excited. This is such a fun program. It's called the Beyond Six Figures Mentorship. It is not for someone who is already making six figures. You don't have to be making six figures. We just didn't want to call it 2 6 figures and beyond because of, Buzz Lightyear. It just sounded like ridiculous. But if you're creeping around 6 figures or you've passed 6 figures and you're really looking to scale to, I'd say even 500,000, this would definitely be a mentorship for you. And the way that we talk about it is sort of a mastermind marries a course, like the best course you've ever taken, and they have a baby. And that's what this mentorship is. And so you'll get more details soon. I can promise you that. Maybe we'll drop the waitlist link in the show notes here because we are going to open the doors in the next couple weeks so that we can kick this off for a June to December 6-month, wrap up your year with us. Like, let's go. So I'm stoked for that. And you'll get the details later. So that would definitely be my bud. Yeah.
Love it.
Feels
Let's
really
go.
good to bring you back. Yeah. Let's just do a quick little rapid fire. You guys good with rapid fire?
Ooh, let's go.
All right.
Sure.
Lauren, you're going first for rapid fire. Are you ready?
Okay.
What's something you're most proud of over the last 3 years?
Oh man, I think truly like stepping into this integrator role, I had no idea what I was doing. I truly had no clue. I knew I wanted it. I asked for it. I asked them for it straight up. I was like, this is what I want to do. And especially as a woman in the workforce, it is really important. You see something, go for it. Don't make excuses. I definitely wasn't ready for the role, but when you jump in feet first, you figure out how to swim. So that's for sure.
What would you say is one of your favorite hobbies outside of work?
I would say either journaling. It was for a very long time hula hooping. But I've recently really started to love, I'm taking the class workouts and that is so fun.
Taryn Toomey.
Taryn Toomey, yeah.
Taryn Toomey, yeah, in New York City,
They're
yeah.
awesome.
Favorite memory of inside of DBE? Favorite memory?
Oh, goodness gracious. Whew. I mean, the thing that I'm just going to say what is coming to me. I am really proud of the retreats we've put on. They've been really epic and so fun and really just powerful.
Yeah, I would have to second that. All right, Amanda, give it to us. What has been one of your best or biggest lessons that you've learned?
Oh man. I think honestly, one of the biggest things I've learned, and I feel like I keep talking about communication, but I think, working with different personality types and being able to effectively manage different personalities and just the way that we each talk to each other and how each person likes things done. It's not really about yourself. It's about what's best for the team. And I think I've learned so much working with the three of you and just over time. And we've just grown so much, and just seeing where it was to seeing where it is now. I feel just learning how to communicate and say what you need and ask for what you need.
Yeah.
And also, just being honest with each other and putting things out there, I think has been my biggest lesson working with all three of you.
Yeah, I love it. If you could snap your fingers tomorrow and we would have a new branch of the business or a product created, like boom, just done, and it's quote unquote successful, what would that be?
Definitely a template shop. There's so many things we can put there, and because it's a project that I personally took on that I felt proud of and excited about. And I think that's also just such an opportunity for more passive income and for, things that we don't always have to be launching and relaunching, and just giving those resources to our clients and our students, I think would just be really awesome.
Yeah. Favorite memory? It totally could be from Vegas.
My favorite memory is definitely from our Vegas trip. I think that was really the first time that we got to hang out and be together without really any work involved whatsoever. And it was just really cool to just see everyone in their own little element. And we got to bring our partners, which was really fun. And it was really just a different perspective to see everyone out of work mode and just having a good time and connecting with each other. And we just had such a blast.
Yeah, it was awesome. We're super grateful to be able to do, of course, work retreats that we do, not for the clients, like for the team, we do work retreats and we get so much done and they're so much fun. But that Vegas trip was just like a full on, 3-day party or whatever. And that was awesome. That was so much fun.
I'm laughing because every time I think of the template shop, And
To
now
the template shop.
that's what I think of. So now I'm picturing Amanda. I didn't realize Amanda like just so obsessed with the template shop. Now, when you go to the site, I feel like
That song should be playing.
with Amanda singing it. I'll take you to the template shop.
I'll make a remix.
Can we do like, remember how you did on MySpace? You'd have to like HTML your
Oh,
like
yeah.
song. Can you do that for us, please?
I'll
Well,
code
with
it.
AI, you can probably, no, not probably, you definitely can change the words and you can make it be 50 Cent. And he could say, I'll take you to the template shop.
All right, Mike, I'm
Anyway.
gonna ask you your final questions, rapid fire. So this is actually a question that I ask all of our guests on the podcast. It's the $50,000 question, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity for me to ask it to you. So the question is, if I were to give you $50,000 tomorrow that you had to invest back into the business, you could split it up, you could use in one lump sum. Where would you put that 50 grand? How would you allocate it?
Wow.
Bonuses for us, right?
Yeah. I'd put it in a high yield. No, I would say, and if I have to spend it, I would say, I think that the whole team would agree that we could probably use an additional role.
Mm,
And it would take some strategy amongst the team to figure out what would be the most, not critical, because we're rocking, right? We're rocking with a lean, mean machine. But I think that we could put our heads together and probably be like, hey, this is a great budget. We can think about like what's going to impact the business the most.
Yeah.
And let's put it towards that.
I love that. I love that. Second question for you is going to be a little bit different as well. So this one's around our relationship.
Oh.
So what's changed? What's better? What's different? What would you say for, I don't know, people that want to work with their spouse? I mean, it's been 3 years now, almost 3 years that we've been doing this together. And how has it really changed our working and romantic relationship in your eyes?
Well, I would say two things. Number one, it's really taught us that, well, okay, I would say initially we were like, oh, we have to follow what people are saying and turn off when we want to, turn off the work and like, let's schedule like, dates and dinners. So that otherwise we're always talking about work. And then we were like, F that. Like, if we want to talk about work, we're going to talk about work.
Yeah.
However, on the flip side, we also both have learned to communicate. If we don't want to talk about it, we don't want to talk about it, and it's okay. And we should communicate that. So that has been something that I think we both have learned. I would say the biggest thing for me right off the bat was that I randomly would just start talking to you. I remember this when we were in the RV. Because there was no doors. So I would just start talking to you and you're like, I'm working. And I'm like, oh, the call is over. I don't know what you're doing, So, but yeah, I mean, we've really learned how to, the other piece too, because that was all kind of bunched together. But the other piece too is for people, because we talk to a lot of other entrepreneurs and they always say, whether it's, whoever wants to bring in the other person, they want to bring their significant other into the business. And number one, it's really important that the other person actually wants to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, after they get through that, if they do want to join the business, it's important that they're given the freedom and flexibility to really figure out what it is they want to do. Because if I can tell you, if I was doing something that I really, really didn't want to do, it most likely would put a lot of strain on our personal life too.
Absolutely.
And that's where like the bleeding into the personal and business, that's when it causes an issue. It doesn't cause an issue when we're on a nice, sunset walk in 68 degrees and no humidity weather with our beautiful dog. And we're talking about like things that we're excited about in the business. That doesn't cause problems.
Right.
It causes problems when it's like, one of us is miserable about something that we're doing in the business, which I'm really grateful, because I remember when I left my job in September of 2020 and you gave me like, it's not like you gave me, but I was getting stressed because like I'm such a generator. I'm like, I have to be doing stuff. And you're like, you just left your job. Can you just like chill, like read a book and just drive the RV for 6 months? Like, and that's what I was like, okay, I'll come to the calls and I'll sit here and I'll learn and I'll listen.
I said the same thing to you.
And I give you credit for that.
Yeah, but I said the same thing to you that you said to me when I left my job in 2017. And that was
Oh,
You
that's
didn't
right.
leave.
It was me. And sure.
You didn't leave your job to do things you don't want to do. So let's just make sure all those decisions you're making are out of a place of excitement, alignment, and growth. And you're in a very unique position right now. You're very fortunate to be in a position that like you don't have to go do something you don't want to do. And that's what you said to me when I left my job.
Yeah.
So I just reflected it back to you.
Thanks. And yeah, and that being said, like, if your spouse is thinking about, joining, or you want them to join, everything that I do in the business is not, rainbows and unicorns. Right. That's the nature of the bit of business, right? There's going to be some things like that maybe I don't necessarily want to do at that moment, but I would say, like, if the majority and your actual role is something that you enjoy doing, then it's a win.
Yeah. All right, give me a favorite memory.
That was not a quick answer, sorry. Favorite memory.
If you're a listener of the podcast, you know that Mike and I both are very long-winded.
Yeah, they're like, well, we're already gone, so. Favorite memory, and like, that's very broad.
No, through the lens of the business.
Oh,
yeah.
lens of the business. Well, I wasn't sure if we were doing the same thing. I mean,
Yeah, favorite memory.
you're gonna like catch me off guard here.
No, that last one's the same.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's such a cop out, but like Vegas was just so fun. It really was, because it was a nice celebration of something that we had all accomplished as a team.
Yeah.
That had never been accomplished before at the company.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it together. We had made so many changes, and we were like blown away by the outcome. But also, to Amanda's point, it was a time where there was no work.
Yeah.
And not that we don't like work, but it was like, we can all just like hang out and do our thing. And we were able to hopefully provide a fun experience. I mean, we certainly provided the fun experience that we like to have.
Yeah.
But
It was
a
a
lot of fun. And also, the first time meeting Lauren and Amanda in Sedona was definitely a special time, because I remember, we had just come off a big year in 2020. We popped a nice bottle of champagne. We went to a nice dinner at Mariposa.
Helicopter.
So there's just, huh?
Yeah,
The
the helicopter.
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 My favorite
There's just
memory.
a lot of fun things, like
Yeah.
them laughing, or Amanda laughing when the waitress came over and said, "Do you want another bottle?" And
Oh my gosh, so
that
funny.
was just fun.
Yeah, super fun. Or like
Yep.
we had the old Jeep
Yup.
at the time. We took the roof down, and they were like out the roof. We were driving down Sedona.
With the moon.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was fun.
Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, as we put a bow, I'll give one of my favorite memories. I think you all just said a bunch of them, though. I actually will say, so obviously the in-person retreats, whether we're with clients, we're with each other, or it's just like a Vegas trip, anytime we're in person is just like the best. And we've done it so many times, and I'm so grateful for that. But one of my favorite virtual memories, I'd actually have to credit Lauren for putting together some of our virtual happy hours. So we do them every month. While we have the four of us, we also have some other contractors that we work with, and then we have a team of coaches. And so the coaches get invited to these team happy hours, and Lauren brings themes to them. And every time you've told us the theme, I know I'm not the only one who's kind of been like, oh, really? Like, like another Zoom call on my calendar, and now I have to get dressed up, or I have to like bring something with me. And 10 out of 10 times, it's been so much fun. Like, no one actually wants to get off the Zoom call. And we've had ridiculous show and tells and 80s nights. And like, I think my favorite one was when everyone had to dress as their favorite holiday.
That was great.
That was really fun. People are so creative. It's really nice. It's really, really special. So virtually, that would be some of my favorite memory for sure as well. All right, let's put a bow on this. Any final words? I'm super grateful for all of you. Hopefully the listeners, you've gained something out of this, even if it's just a little perspective and insight to what goes on behind the scenes. It is certainly not the Jess show. It hasn't been for many, many, many years. Never was. It was always about the clients. But there's a lot of magic and things that are happening behind the scenes to make sure the business is running smoothly. The clients are having incredible experiences. The audience members are feeling seen and heard and validated. And there's just a lot of parts when it comes down to emails and text messages and legal and financial and just all of it. And we've got a lot of people that we're managing. So these are really the men and women behind all of that and what you see. And I certainly wouldn't be able to do what I do without them. I don't even know how I did parts of it without you years ago. I really just can't even imagine how I don't even remember how I was doing it. So I'm incredibly grateful. Any last words that any of you want to say to the listeners, maybe to someone who's thinking about team, who's scared about hiring team, who feels like, I don't know, solopreneurship is just not working for them anymore?
Hire before you're ready.
Yeah, I love that. And I just want to publicly shout out this team. I am so grateful to work with all of you. And, you know, we have so much fun together. We've learned how to work together and it's like family. And if you're listening and you're wondering, oh, I want to grow a team, all that, like hire people that you want to work with because you're going to be working with them a lot. And I talk to them more than I talk to my family, but I'm really just so grateful for all of you. And this is so fun.
Thanks.
It was fun. It's my first podcast ever.
Well, you
Oh.
nailed it. You nailed it. You crushed it. Hey, and Montana wants to say hi to everybody as well. Well, folks, there you have it. Our 100th episode of Digital Business Evolution
Woohoo.
Lives podcast. Only after 6 years of me wanting to put a podcast out, it came at the best and just the best time. There's a reason why it didn't come out 6 years earlier or 5 years or 4 years. It came out at the best time. And I'm so grateful for you, the listeners, for listening and downloading and subscribing and being a part of this journey. Do me a favor, as always, take a screenshot if you love this and share it on social media. But what I'd love even more is if you shot me a DM and let me know some of your takeaways so I can give those screenshots back to the team and just show them how awesome they are and how powerful episodes like this are. If you have questions for the team, Lauren, Mike, or Amanda, feel free to DM them to me at I am Jessica DeRose. I will definitely get back to you. And if I don't have the answer myself, I will pass it off and make sure they get back to you. But as always, friends, cheers to evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.